Hello, YouTube. I'm just waiting for TikTok. My audience is on TikTok, so that's why you'll only see that side of my face. Hello. You've been here before, Michelle? Oh. While we're waiting, hi, Kelsey. I was going to name my daughter Kelsey. And then my husband at the time, he didn't like it because in Australia, where my kids were born, he'd never heard it before. And he just, now, of course, we know now that we're living back in Canada, it's certainly heard of here. Not in Australia so much, but here. Okay. So while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Just looking at your names. Mama, that's cute. Dot, hi Dot. You're a regular. I picture you as a very tiny little person because it's just Dot. San Antonio, Texas. Welcome. Lincoln, Nebraska. I have no idea where that is, but I've heard of it frequently. Why would that be? Is it famous in a movie or something? Lincoln, Nebraska. Why would that sound so familiar to me? Me again from West Clare, Ireland. Hi, welcome back. I remember you. Okay. So I just love to hear where you guys are from. We had our Shirley, Massachusetts. Don't remember a Shirley, Massachusetts. Denver, Colorado. Certainly heard of that. I'm a skier. Maybe I'll get there one day. I'm one of those people, I've skied tons, but I never got great at it. I think I have a fear of moguls. I always wanted to be a good mogul skier, and I always had a fear of it. Now, I guess I can't do that now anyway. I got bad knees. So you get older, you just can't. Maybe that's what wrecked my knees, was all that mogul skiing. I was never great at it, though. I always struggled with facing downhill at all times, even though your skis are going sideways. Kuwait, hi, Kuwait. Okay, we got enough people. Let's get going. My name's Lisa. If you go on the link above, you'll see everything I've got to offer. You can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses. My big course is How to Get Respect in 5 Weeks. Kind of the Bible towards all this. It sort of goes into great detail if you have a 3 to 12-year-old. Or you can download my free behavior board. That is completely free. It always was, always will be. Teaches you how to give respect to get it. And it's sort of where we start with coaching and with the course. It's sort of the start of everything. We had Canada Day here on Saturday. And they canceled the fireworks and everything because there was some big horrible atrocity towards Indigenous children. There were horrible stuff that used to happen in the past. And so now I think we're kind of ashamed of being Canadians. Isn't that, I often think, in history, all this horrible stuff that happened, were we meaner back then? Like just horrible, cruel people back then? Because I just can't imagine stuff like that happening today. But anyway, so yeah, we are holding back with all of our celebrations because of that. Which makes sense, right? Anyway, but tomorrow is 4th of July. So I'm Canadian and that's American. So I'm sure you're all gearing up for that. Okay. Now, Jillian, I'm going to try and make sure I get all your comments here. Okay, Jillian. Because you got a couple comments. And if I do miss your question, just ask again because it scrolls down and then going back, it makes me nauseous, like I get vertigo. Okay, Jillian, if someone comes over to say hello, he says, go away and other things that's super rude. I've tried being firm. I've tried modeling what I like from him. It's getting to be too much. How old is he? I'm guessing 4? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it just means he doesn't respect you because that behavior is a tell for me. It says that he just doesn't respect you. So set yourself up as a calm leader and that won't happen. I never deal with attitude, ever. So yeah, you just don't. The attitude is just a tell. It just tells me he doesn't respect me, you. So set yourself up as a calm, he doesn't know me. So set yourself up as a calm leader and you can start, check out my links above and where you would want to look is if you want to hire me or buy that course, Get Respect. And I don't know why I'm jiggling around so much. My back just started to hurt. Or buy the course. It's Get Respect in 5 weeks if you've got a 3 to a 12-year-old, or download my free behavior board and start there. Everyone has secrets. Yeah, they're not always big ones, though. I'm sure I got secrets, but nothing that interesting. Why isn't he learning to be polite? You're not a leader. You're not a leader. If you were a leader, he wouldn't act like that. It's just the way it is. Just the way it is. And people say, but I'm doing this, I've been following you for a while, I'm doing this and that. It's a package. If you got to sort of be, it's like a package. It would be like dieting. Say, look, I'm eating lots of fruits and vegetables. I just happen to eat a big family-sized bag of potato chips and a pint of ice cream after every meal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be a package. Because sometimes you're doing one thing right, but you could be doing something else that's completely canceling it out. I don't know, but that's what coaching is all about. Because people say, I've tried everything. I've been following you for ages. And then I'll say, well, tell me a situation. And I'll say, well, that's what's going on. So. Okay, my kid gets frustrated when she can't do something first time, but when I try to help, turns into, that happens. How old, though? I need to know the age. Is she 16, 6, 2? Yeah, I need the age. Makes a big difference. 4-year-old swearing and saying they hate you, that is another tell. Just means they don't respect you. Work on your leadership. Remember, I'm never fixing kids. I'm teaching parents. I got to think of a better way to explain that. Their basic nature, their basic personality, I think we're all born with a basic nature. Your behavior, on the other hand, is 100% nurture, environment, parenting. How you act is the parenting you receive. So their behavior is what we're dealing with here. We're not trying to change their personality. We're trying to teach them to make good decisions, to treat people with respect, to have manners. That's all the stuff that you can control. Because their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting when they're young. When they're teenagers, they can go offline a little bit because they're more influenced by other people, and they're going to experiment with different, personality traits, and, they're going to see what works, right? So, but yeah, when they're young, it's 100% on you. So work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach is leadership. I don't fix kids. I teach parents. She's 3.5. Okay, let me go back. Kid get front when she can't do something first time. When I try to help, turns into a full woman. How can I help the frustration? You really can't help that. And why are you trying to help? Like, if she can't do something, what would it be? Tie her shoes. If you know that you interfering or trying to help her is going to get into a full-blown meltdown, just let her get in the car without her shoes tied up. But yeah, that's a personality trait, by the way. That's a temper. And she will eventually outgrow that. But for now, I wouldn't get involved and escalate it. As much as possible. Don't try and make it easy for her is what I'm saying. It's making it worse. Here, this is how you do it. It's just going to make it worse. It's an escalator. So yeah. If you want a better answer, you could tell me a specific thing that she gets frustrated over, because that can be something that has to be done or something that she just wants to do. It kind of is a little bit different, but overall, I don't get involved in that stuff. Son is 3 and he does not listen when I say, please leave it alone. I can, what do you, so he touches stuff when you say no, it just means he doesn't respect you. There again, it's all the same stuff. Yeah, I'm getting kind of frustrated with myself here. I have to keep saying the same thing. I'm going to try and think of a different way of saying it. Yeah, you lead and they will follow. There you go. So yeah, it just means he doesn't respect you. That's all. That's all it is. When they respect you, they listen to you. They just do. They want to please you. When you're a good leader, they naturally want to please you. It's just the way it is. You lead and they will follow. It would be embarrassing for them not to do the right thing with you because they look up to you. You're like a mentor to them. Okay. Okay, so a juice box. She will try and do the straw herself and get angry when she can't do it. Yeah, it's very common, by the way. It's first time, and even leaving her to it ends her getting worked up because she can't. But yeah, So she gets a juice box. I'm just thinking of all the different directions that could go in it. There's a few different ways it could go. So I've known kids like this. They just get so frustrated so quickly. And it's everything else's fault. Nothing's their fault. They don't keep trying. They give up really quick. They're the kids who give up quickly. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of a creative way of dealing with that because there's a million different things you could do. Can't open up a juice box, and they don't want your help, but they're having a fit. So they're having a tantrum. Okay, let's just treat it like a tantrum. So she starts having a tantrum because she can't open it. She has an absolute fit. I wouldn't get, that's the crazy zone. I always say that's why you were escalating it. When you get involved, you're escalating the crazy. That's like anytime you give a tantrum attention, you're going to escalate it. It's the same thing. When their tempers are flared, then you getting involved will just make it worse and worse and worse. As soon as they calm down, then you might say, do you want my help? No, kicking, screaming, ignore again. Just keep ignoring. But when they calm down, you reward the calm by saying, do you want my help? And then ignore again, ignore it. Every single time she goes in the crazy zone, you go in the calm zone. Just ignore that crazy stuff. So it's just like a temper. It's a tantrum. Yeah, you're joining it makes it worse. I feel like I'm in a lose-lose situation sometimes. Yeah, it's frustrating. You just have a kid with a temper and gives up very easily. But the fact that you're getting involved is escalating the temper and feeding it. Your involvement is making it worse. Because kids only do what works. And if getting attention, having a temper works, it gets attention, you're actually feeding it and making it worse. So I wouldn't be helping. If they have a fit, there's no way I would offer any help. There's no way. What if you're in public, feels her? Oh, there you go. So that's why she's got you by the knackers. Yeah, because you're inconsistent. So yeah, I would completely ignore it. In public, if you're in a restaurant or something, I would take her outside and let her have a fit in the parking lot. I wouldn't disturb other diners. So yeah. You said, what if you're in public, feels harder to ignore? I'm the exact same mother, public, private, anywhere. Like I don't change. My kids knew 100% every single time exactly how I would react. If they'd acted out and done something, I would go, are you kidding me with this? Like, I don't care where I am. That would have been my mother, actually. She was, are you kidding me with this? Oh, like I hated that with my mom. I hated it because I looked up to my mom. I was embarrassed if I acted out and she called me on it. I would have been humiliated. And I know that's how my kids were with me too. That's that leadership stuff, like a mentor. Yeah, let her sit in her own poop. Don't get involved in that stuff. You just don't. The more you get involved in tantrums and tempers and all that, the more they escalate. You're feeding it, feeding it, feeding it. Okay, I have a 5-year-old who's constantly pushing or taking things away from my 2-year-old. That's one of my favorite discipline methods that parents say works really well, and it's a simple one, is when an older sibling is mean to a younger sibling, you put it on the behavior board and say no hurting or no upsetting your younger sister or whatever. And then when they do, the rule is that they have to share their favorite toy with that younger sibling for a whole hour or however long, whatever. But yeah, that's my favorite one. They hate that. You were mean to your sister, now she gets to play with your favorite toy for a whole hour. Do you understand? And then restrain the older one if they try and get involved in that. You know what I mean? Like you've got to take charge of that. Okay. Niece, oldest of 4. Your niece, oldest of 4. Yeah, I don't talk about aunting or uncling. I only talk about parenting. Are you an aunt or an uncle? Like, I don't talk about that. Because if I was to tell someone else how to deal with someone else's kids and the parents didn't like it, you see, I only teach parenting. So ignoring tantrums as they happen. Should 4-year-old have consequences afterward for hitting during a tantrum? No, not at all. That's an outburst. You only punish hitting or violence when it's not done during a tantrum. They are not in control of themselves. Okay. When they get older, yes, I would do something like this. Hey, you threw the remote at the TV while you were upset. I know you were upset, but that's no excuse for throwing the remote at the TV. So here's the consequence. You'll be paying for half of it, blah, 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 But yeah, when they're little, no, they're not in control. You can't punish that. Like a tantrum is not bad behavior. A tantrum is a loss of control. Throwing things and violence is bad behavior, but if it should happen during a tantrum, you have to ignore it. Okay, good one. I'm surprised I haven't been asked this for a while. What if they break their rule on the board multiple times throughout the day? Yeah, absolutely. What you do, there's always two consequences. So you bundle them all up. And let's say the first time they hit, there's a consequence. Then they hit again. You say, I'll tell you what, we'll deal with that after dinner. So they hit throughout the day, right? Then at the end of the day, you say something like this. Let's go to the behavior board. The rule is no hitting, but you hit a lot today. Remember, you hit then and then, whatever. And then you say, so we're going to go right to 24-hour media blackout. So you go to the secondary consequence. So you're bundling up the whole rotten day and you're saying, okay, we're going to go to the negative deprivation consequence. Because remember, there's always two of them. Positive action. If they don't do that, there's a negative deprivation. Or if they're breaking the rule multiple times throughout the day, then you go to the negative deprivation. Do they like it? No, that's good. They got to learn that if you do something bad, there's going to be a consequence that you don't like, right? I love that with the siblings. It really does work. Yeah. My son never tantrums. Is it normal? Is he scared of me? Oh, no, they either do or they don't. I have one who did and one who didn't. They're either born to have tantrums or they're not. It's a temper. It's a basic nature thing. It's like they're born to climb. There's three different things that kids are born with, and you see it happen in the toddler years. They climb, they have tantrums, or they're runners. They take off on you. Those are three things that some do, some don't. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with those kids. They're just three basic things that you'll see in the toddler years come out that some kids never do. The only thing my kids did was my son had tantrums. They weren't runners or climbers either. And my daughter never had a tantrum. I never had one. I can remember I was tiny and I can remember this. I know I was tiny because I couldn't talk properly. I remember that. I couldn't ask what's going on. But I remember looking at other kids having tantrums thinking, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? I can literally remember. And my daughter was the same. She'd look at kids having tantrums because she'd never had one either. So yeah, and my son, he would just let it fly. He could have cared less. They're all different. My 2-year-old wakes up from naps inconsolably crying. Nothing calms him down for a long time. Yeah, some people just wake up grumpy. He may very well be like that as he's an adult too. They wake up slower. They say it has to do with body temperature, but don't quote me on that because I don't understand all that stuff. But yeah, my son would sometimes do that, but not every time. But sometimes he'd wake up just inconsolable. And I might hold him when he was little and, I wouldn't even try and talk to him. It would make it worse. So, but yeah, I'd just sort of be around waiting for him to calm down. What if they do all three? Well, aren't you lucky? The climbing one, if they're really bad at climbing, you put alarms on everything that they can use to climb with. So if they use chairs and pull them over to get up on something, put little bells or alarms on those chairs. And the running, restrain them, put them on a harness. And tantrums, you ignore those. Do you think there's a correlation between difficult babies being difficult toddlers? The temper, definitely, they're born with that, for sure. And they can be more challenging as toddlers, but my son had tantrums, but he didn't have a ton of them, but he was basically an easy kid because he wasn't overly active. He was pretty, agreeable. But then he would just lose it sometimes. So no, I don't know about difficult. I wouldn't necessarily call kids who had tantrums difficult. Because sometimes the ones who don't can be more precocious and lying, and you know what I mean? They can be more difficult. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily label a kid who has tantrums as being difficult. Okay. I tie all my chairs together under the table by the legs so they can't pull them up. Oh, smart. I haven't heard of that one. Very smart. Thank you. He's the easiest baby, but he's not. Most toddlers are crazy, okay? Just accept that. It's your interpretation of them that's completely off. Just if you think that they're all crazy and insane, your life's going to be a lot easier. Just do what I did. I completely child-proofed my whole house, and I did a toy rotation system, so they were never bored. So they had nothing to get into, and they were never bored. How easy was my life with toddlers? You know what I mean? Yeah, just I'll do another video on that one. Oh, I already have it written down. Set your toddler up for success. Yeah. Whoops. And that's what I mean by that. You child-proof the whole house and have a toy rotation system down. I'm just going to write those two things so I don't forget. The rotation and child-proofing. How is that for making your life easier with toddlers, right? My baby has a challenging temperament, fights, sleeps, screams a lot, mostly fussy when awake, curious. I don't know. Can you speak what is considered speech delay in 2-year-old? No. I'm not going to do that because then you're going to think I know what I'm talking about and I'm assessing your child. I don't get into all that stuff. They all walk and talk and crawl at different ages. It doesn't, just because they're later than some doesn't mean anything. Unless they're 8 years old and they're still not speaking. But overall, it's not an indication of where they're going to go, basically. Okay, a while back I tried your method. Ignoring tantrums works. Yeah, I hear that every day. It just does. They're usually going to get worse before they get better because they remember the old you. They're like, I'm going to get you upset no matter what it takes. So they're going to try and get the old you back. Okay. 3-year-old. Okay. 3-year-old loves to tell me no. How to break this? Okay. Remember, it's not the child, it's you. You're not a leader. If you're a leader, they don't say no to you. They just don't. It's just, they just don't. When you lead, they follow because they look up to you. You're like a mentor. They want to please you. So work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach. Is I don't fix kids. They're not broken. They're just reacting to your parenting. That's all. So you work on your parenting skills. That's everything. It's like you never blame the food for gaining weight. It's you, right? You're in total control of what you eat. You're in total control of your children's behavior. It's all up to you. And so you work on your leadership skills. I have a whole course on that for 3 to 12-year-olds, how to get respect in 5 weeks. It's kind of like the Bible. It's got everything in there. Not the Bible. Why do I keep saying that? Why do I keep saying that? I don't know why. I'm not religious or anything. Why the heck would I call that the parenting Bible? I don't know why. Anyway, it's not the parenting Bible. There's nothing religious in it. What I mean by that is there's a lot of stuff referred to in there. So you can always keep going back. Oh, now I want to talk about allowance. Now, there's a whole bunch of other topics in there. But the main thrust of that course is to teach you how to be a leader. That's what it's all about. The first 3 weeks are behavior boards. The last 2 weeks are in the moment discipline. So you want to pull away from that behavior board. Like I never used a behavior board. And, it's just a teaching tool to teach you how to be a leader. Once you're a leader, you don't need that. My very powerful method with my own kids was the look. I had mom's look. If they were acting out, I would just, across a room, I could catch their eye. It would be like this. They'd go, oops, never mind. My mom had that too. If I was somewhere and I knew I was maybe getting a little bit worked up because other kids were getting all worked up, I would never look across the room at my mom because I'd see this. So yeah, I've tried. They don't care. Well, you've tried my course? Tara. Oh, Tara. Something's missing then. Something's missing. Just a second. I'm just going to look something up here. Just going to look up your name. Because it's the last name that's throwing me off. Have you worked with me before, Tara? Anyway, it's the last name threw me off because I know a Tara. Anyway, you're missing something though. Like there's always, this is coaching usually. There's just something missing. And parents go, I'm doing everything you said. I've done all that. But maybe you're clicking your tongue or like that. Maybe you're rolling your eyes. It can be something subtle like that that's tanking everything. Your tone of voice, are you sarcastic? Do you look annoyed? That could be some nuance that's just preventing the success from happening. Okay. Have one child, 2 years old. I feel guilty as if I don't show enough attention. Any tips? Well, is there something to that? Do you play with your 2-year-old in their world? You don't just sit and watch them play and talk to them while they're playing. You sit on the ground and play with them. If you're doing that every day, It can be 5 minutes, 5 hours, I don't know. But you got to connect with them in their world. That is gold to them. They don't want to connect in your adult world. They want to connect in their 2-year-old world. It's like you don't bond with a 3-year-old at the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with that 3-year-old. That's how you bond with your children. You do it in their world, not your world. Find your inner 2-year-old. Don't expect them to find their inner 30 or 40-year-old or whatever. They don't have that yet. Okay. Oh, people are getting snotty in here. I get kids in here and usually it gets snotty sometimes. Okay. I've tried everything, but nothing works. Need advice. Well, have you tried it? Have you worked with me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone says that. They said, oh, I tried everything and it doesn't work. Have you okay, so here's a really good piece of advice. If you're taking parenting advice, you have to go through one path. Only watch one person and follow their advice for 3 weeks. If you were to pick and choose what you like from different parenting experts, and then you tried to mix your own little mixture together, it's not going to work at all. It doesn't work at all. It's like going to different diet centers and picking out advice from each of them. Then you can't figure out why you're gaining weight. It's like that. You got to pick a path. So just follow me and do my method for 3 weeks. If it doesn't work, then move on to someone else. But you can't pick and choose what you do and don't like. It just doesn't work that way. Everything that I teach is meant to be used as a package. So like if you were to throw time out into my method, it would tank because I think time out is cruel and humiliating. I hate it. And so I wouldn't do it. So, but you see what I'm saying? It contradicts everything I teach. I teach respect, and I think it's very disrespectful to do timeout. So yeah, you got to pick a lane, go with it for 3 weeks minimum. And if you're not getting any results, you might just be, something needs to be tweaked. If you want to hire me, it's up in the link up there and I could help you through that. Okay. Bah, 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 bah. I need to take this program. Yeah, that calm leadership. Yeah, how to get respect in 5 weeks. You know, you can go through the whole course. That's the one that I do have. I did have coaching with it, but it filled up really quickly. And then I offered it without the coaching. So, and it may just continue to do that because I don't know, like it's kind of hard with summer and everything because people can't always turn up to the group coaching time, right? Because it's a set time each week. But it's the exact same course. And you can look at the whole thing. The difference is I was feeding it out one lesson per week. Whereas now, if you buy that course on your own, you can see, I would suggest you read through the whole thing first and then pace yourself out. And if you're really struggling, elongate it. Don't rush through it. If you're really struggling in week 1, do that first behavior board for another week, okay? Rather than going on to behavior board number 2. And the kids, I don't care how they're acting, it's you. Are you following through and making it work? Like, are you following through with all the consequences? So it's all up to you. A 15-year-old just came home with a hickey from his girlfriend. I talked to him, but should I tell her? Oof. That's not an easy answer for me. Okay, my 15-year-old just came home with a hickey from his girlfriend. I talked to him, but should I tell her parents? They're 15. That's a tricky one because how well do you know her parents? Is this something they would really want to know? And is he going to shut down and not talk to you? I think you've got more control if you don't talk to her parents because they're going to shut you out. They're going to make sure you don't know what's going on. So I would even suggest to him, you know what? It's just a hickey. I don't think I need to tell the other parents. But, you know, let's talk about sex. Let's talk about, you know, are you sexually active? I would use that to open up the door to that conversation and then say, you know, you can always talk to me. Don't give him any advice. Do not give him any advice. Number one, parenting skill with teenagers is listening to show understanding and empathy, not to gather information to lecture with. He doesn't want to hear it. Just say, do you want to talk about it? And, you know, because it's only natural. And I always told my kids, you know, and I always knew they told me everything. But anyway, so I used to make the joke that, you know, once you're ready to have sex, let me know. I'm going to go to Costco. I'll drive right down to Costco and get a big flat full of condoms. And so, you know, I just made jokes out of it. So it was always an open conversation. They could always talk to me. And Okay. I'm struggling with minute one, not week one. You got to get organized and you just keep it small. It's like when you build habits, you build them small. I just did oh, I haven't got it with me. I was just reading, I love that Atomic Habits book. I haven't actually got the book, but I've been watching everyone talk about it for years. And what it is one of the things that they do is habit stacking. That's what the 3 behavior boards are all about. You start small and you get one behavior board going, then you stack on top of that and you get a second one, then a third one. But you got to start small. You don't start with the big goal in mind. You start with, hey, we're gonna correct this one behavior in week 1, and it may not be corrected till week 3 or 4, but we're going to make sure that there's a consequence every time that bad behavior happens in week 1. So we're going to be consistent with that, and then you stack on top of that. So you start small, start tiny. You don't start big picture. You start with one habit at a time. So that first behavior board is all you should focus on. Most of my clients, if they don't ask me, I say, why haven't you asked me this? And they'll go, oh, I don't know, I figured you know what you're doing. But anyway, it's when we finished our first session or we're finishing up and I say, any questions? And if they don't ask us I always say, why didn't you ask this? And it is, what do I do with all the other bad behaviors? Most parents ask that, but I guess they've seen me enough on live. I talk about this quite often. And I say, that's none of my business. Like, what I mean is we're focused on one and one only. Master that, then we'll move on to the rest. By the time you get to the 3rd week, you'll start to see the other bad behaviors drop away. It's not about the kids. You're working on your leadership skills. You're practicing how to be a calm leader. And then once they know you are a calm leader, that bad behavior just goes away. So, but you're only focused on one bad behavior per week. It's very important, just one. The rest of it, just struggle through. Just whatever you were doing before, just keep doing it. But you get that one done really well. Is it hard work? Yeah. Is it worth it? Yeah. 100%. It's worth it. Uh, I always use dieting as an example, and this is where they're quite different, is when you are dieting, losing weight is easier than maintaining it. When you're setting yourself as a calm leader, getting respect is harder than maintaining it. So it's hard initially, but it gets easier. Does that make you feel any better? It gets easier later on. It's like I never got respect. I kind of never lost it. Like my kids were bored. They knew when mom said something, it meant business. Like they knew I was very consistent. So I was a leader from day one, but I had tons of experience with kids before I had my own, like literally like 20 years of experience with kids before I had my own. And well, 18 years of experience. I used to volunteer in daycare centers when I was 11. Anyway, so, but yeah, I didn't have to get it. All I did was maintain it. It's kind of like the way I keep house. I never clean a dirty house. I maintain a clean one. It's like that. It's just my way. It's just easier. Do I do that with everything? No. Do I wish I did? Yeah. I don't do that with everything. You should see my bookkeeping. You're supposed to do it every single month. I don't do that. So yeah, I'm not good with that with everything. That's for sure. We all pick our lanes. Parenting came easy to me. It's just my thing. It's what I do best. But yeah, lots of stuff I struggle with. You want them to walk. You say no, don't run. You say please walk. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't say please when, like, let's say a kid's running and I say, oh, we're walking now. It sounds more like this is the rule. They are kind of already know that anyway. You know what I mean? They know they shouldn't be running if you're at the mall or something. Say, hey, we're walking now. And then if they don't, snap, they're on the leash. Restraint, harness, whatever you want to call it, when you're teaching not to take off. I never marry a woman. I just maintain a random one. You see what I'm talking about? This is good stuff, right? Does this advice work for split households? Yes, it does. The kids only need one leader, one good leader. And once they're 3.5 to 3 3/4, they carry that leadership umbrella everywhere they go. When they've got someone that they really respect, they just are drawn to that person and they tend to become the personality that they are with that leader. So they tend to respect everyone everywhere they go. But it is better if you're on the same page, yes. But I deal with that a lot in coaching. And sometimes I'll say, would you be willing to relinquish one of your sessions to your ex? And they'll say, yeah, absolutely, but they'll never listen to you. And I say, well, have them watch me first And then they often do. They'll, because I say, I'm on no one side here. I want you all to get along. And, I came from, we divorced when our kids were little. We always got along. We always put the kids first. And so there was no problems. What age should we stop using the harness? Mine's 18 and still on one. I'd say about 25 or 30. That's probably a good age. 2 and 3-year-old always wants my food, even if it's same as theirs. They pull at me, climb on me, etc. I would just say no. That's a learned behavior. If they're 3, if a 3-year-old's, the 2-year-old's watching the 3-year-old, by the way. If a 2-year-old is still doing that, then a 3-year-old still doing that. That's learned behavior. I would just say no and let them deal with their own grief over not getting away with that. Just because they want something doesn't mean that you should give it to them. I actually am quite funny. It doesn't come across here, but humor is my whole personality. I'm very goofy. Whenever I was teaching aerobics, people, a huge part of it was just making people laugh. But also, I got approached twice by different people who own comedy stores, and they wanted me to come in there and do a bit. I don't do bits. Anyway, I'll tell you, I was doing this, I used to do a lot of TV, and I was doing this, what was it? On a TV spot on some breakfast show. And they said, at what age should kids have sex? And I said, what I always told my kids was wait till you're 50. So hopefully I'll be dead by then. Because my kids were teenagers at the time, like young. And I was like, I just couldn't handle it, right? But it was funny. Yeah, so I can be quite funny. I'm a reactive. I can be funny and I can be boring as heck. So, but I'm very reactive. I can't be funny on my own. I react. If someone's interviewing me and they say something that sparks something, I can be quite funny, but I can also be boring as anything. I grew up in a very funny family, and you weren't noticed unless you were funny. Like it was a lot of humor in growing up. So it's like this pressure to be on stage all the time. And plus I was the youngest of all the family, the cousins and everything. So they were stepping all over me, out funnying me all the time. Okay. 3-year-old doesn't listen when we say no or ask him to calm down. Remember, it's not about him. That's learned behavior. So you got to work on your leadership skills. That wouldn't happen if you were a calm leader. It just doesn't. So they respect you. You're like a mentor. They want to please you. They just don't act out when you're a leader. So if you want my help, you can go and you can buy that course, Get Respect in 5 weeks, or you can download my free behavior board. It teaches you how to start and get going, or you can hire me for coaching. That's sort of the next level. 3-year-old always changing parent preference, throws tantrum if he doesn't get the one he wants. So you mean 3-year-old's completely in charge? Should we allow him to continue doing that? No, let him have a fit. I don't care. Like, that's on him. Their tantrums, their fits, their scenes are really none of your business. That's their own brain processing, not getting what they want, when they want, and how they want it. You can't process that for them in their brain. They talk a lot about teach children how to self-regulate their emotions. What a bunch of garbage. Anyway, they will learn that through your actions. Ignoring that crap teaches them how to self-regulate. It happens organically. You can't do therapy sessions with little ones and teach them how to do that. It's just garbage. I know it's trendy right now, but that's what I'm up against in my business. Every single day I hear this. We heard we should help them self-regulate. Oh, God, give me a break. Ugh. I know it's trendy. It's trendy. It will go out. It just will. Because those kids that's been done on their growing up, and I get them as clients now, and they're going, that didn't work. I know. Okay, I think I need to do the gaining respect one. I think my girl walks all over me and has no respect. It's all about you. You take responsibility for that because you're the only person in this whole world that you can actually change anyway. You can get your children to react differently toward you, though. They're still the same people, but they're just reacting differently. You think about this. Let's say you have 2 bosses. One treats you like crap. You can't stand them. How do you treat that boss? As opposed to the boss who treats you great, makes you feel valued, makes you, like, which one are you going to treat better? It's like that with parenting. One's a good leader. The other one's crap, garbage, right? So you know what I'm saying? It's like, aren't you drawn to people that make you feel good about yourself? People that you admire? That's what parenting's all about. You want to set yourself up as that mentor. I never set myself up as an authority like I knew everything. I always said, I don't know, let's figure it out together. Like I never set myself up as this knowledge base as a parent, but I was a very good problem solver and I was a very good listener. So, and that's what leadership's all about. You do not want to be solving your kids' problems for them. Then you're raising these, they're just ineffective problem solvers. You want them to learn how to solve their own problems. So you're working things out with them when they're younger, and as they get older, they'll be better problem solvers. So I live downtown. Is there any way to teach a 9-month-old not to pull hair? Just you can potentially use diversion or give them something else to pull, like, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Just figure it out. Like each child's completely different. So yeah, they're doing that because it's a stress relief. So find something else they can relieve their stress on. Maybe giving them one of those little plastic hammers and something to hammer or something when they get frustrated. You do it, you show them first and then let them do it. So you're redirecting that aggression. Why do people do that? Why do kids scratch themselves? Why do they'll even poke their eyes? Why do they self-harm? It's just because it's violent and it diverts them from their being upset. It's just something, I can't remember if some of my clients are child psychologists and they've explained why they do that. But as soon as I heard the actual reason for it, me knowing that doesn't make any difference. They will sometimes do that, but you use redirection. Don't know what you mean by that. Okay. Uh, 4-year-old told randomly, 4-year-old told randomly acting out at daycare with biting, which he never does. What do you, I don't know your question. I don't understand that. Oh, 2-year-old wakes up really upset. I already addressed that earlier on here. Some people, adults wake up poorly too. I'm nauseatingly cheery when I wake up. I wake up cheery, and I've heard it has something to do with your body temperature. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm a morning person. I wake up cheery, but I'm really boring late at night. I'm a morning person. So, but babies are like that too. They wake up well or they don't. When I was a kid, my mom used to say, you're always a really cheery kid. I just always loved laughing and I was cheery. And she said, when you used to wake up, you never cried out for us. You would sing. And I would start like this. And they told this story all the time. They said, this is all they would hear when I woke up. Ah, like this is from really little. And then it got louder. Ah. That was my way of letting them know I'm awake, but I wouldn't have cried. And I can remember being like that. Like I can remember I hated a scene or anything. Like I didn't want to cry. To me, that just seemed ridiculous. I don't know why. But yeah, we're all born with basic personalities. And my daughter was more like that. She never had a temper tantrum or anything like that either. But my son, on the other hand, did. He would wake up really cranky and miserable and he had tantrums. It's just, we're all born with a basic nature. Just go with it. You can't change it. That's not something you can change. So don't worry about it. When my 3-year-old is screaming because he's not getting his way, should I just ignore it? Oh, yes. Yep. The only thing I might do, now he's a 3-year-old, the only thing I might do is this. If he's screaming, and they often scream because they're not sure if you're hearing them, I want them to know I know what they're doing. So I might do this just to let them know. I know exactly what you're doing, and this is how I'm reacting. Like not really eye contact, you're just looking their way. Not a dirty look, be really careful, just a subtle, yeah, whatever. No big deal. No big deal. Show that you're like calm. My kid can regulate his emotions better than most grown men I know. It can work. What do you mean work? You didn't teach him that, by the way. That's something that they learned on their own. It's an organic thing. Um, God, I feel that rant coming on. I just feel it every single day in alive. I think, don't do it, Lisa. Just don't. I get on my nerves with it because I hate those mini therapy sessions. Ugh. Ignore them. So, okay. So what about if they scream in public because they're not getting their own way? What you're asking me is, should I be a different parent when we're in public as when we're in private? No, You got to be 100% consistent, 100%. Otherwise, they've got you by the knackers. They think, oh, when I go out, I'm going to get my own way. So, and then they start to lose the respect for you when they're home too. You've got to be consistent. You got to be, I was the exact same mother no matter where we were. We could be on an airplane over the middle of the ocean. We could be home. We could be at school, anywhere. I was the exact same predictable mother everywhere. So there was no changing that. How do you deal with a toddler starting to try and hit you out of frustration? I actually have a course on that, toddlers who hit and bite, etc. If you're interested, it's a mini toddler course. It's up in the link above if you're interested in that. But yeah, you just correct them. It's consistent corrective action if they're under 3. If they're 3 and over, you put them on the behavior board and put no hitting. But if they're under 3, you say no, and then you remove yourself, remove them, take a toy away, whatever. There has to be a consistent corrective action every single time. You say no, and then you just walk away or whatever. But it has to be 100% of the time. That's why you pick what you're going to correct. Pick one thing usually per week, because it's exhausting, because you have to be consistent. So like I would deal with everything in one day because I'm level 10 with what I teach. But if you're learning how to do this, pick one bad behavior per week that you're going to correct. Usually takes a good week, especially with little wee ones. They don't learn very quickly. They learn through repetition. They might learn the 100th time you correct them, not the first 50 probably. You said, no, I did teach it through validation and boundaries. Yeah. Um, I do. I teach that kind of stuff through modeling. I model calm behavior and they're watching, right? It's just a quicker. eh, mm. Plus, mm, should I? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna. The mini therapy sessions, that child was probably going to learn anyway. Like these mini therapy sessions with toddlers are complete rubbish. They're just garbage because they're watching you. They're not listening to you when they're toddlers. They just are. And they're watching, they're not listening. So they were going to learn at the same rate anyway. Your mini therapy sessions are for you, they're not for your kids. All this discussing feelings and all that stuff with toddlers, it is just useless. Yeah, they just learned organically anyway. Would you say reward charts work for brushing teeth with a 3-year-old, or would there be a better way? I don't like reward charts, but that would be part of the bedtime routine. So it's not like I don't like reward charts. I would put down follow bedtime routine as a rule. You never reward what a baseline behavior. Like my baseline is you be polite. I'm not going to reward kids for being polite. I hate reward charts actually. You know what a reward chart says to a child? It says you're normally rotten, but if you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. Whereas a behavior board says you're normally wonderful, but if you should happen to do something rotten, I know how to take care of business. Okay, you're accountable. So yeah, I would put down follow bedtime routine, and brushing teeth is part of that. And then if they don't, then there's a consequence. So yeah, I don't reward for just doing what I expect. Like I wouldn't reward my kids for putting their dirty clothes in a hamper. Like to me, that's ludicrous. Um, That's that. I did a video. I think I pinned it to the top. It got really popular. That one went all over the world. I did interviews all over the world on that one. I don't know why. I didn't think it was a good video, but anyway, I don't know. Sometimes people just pick it up for some reason. Chores versus allowance. I never pay for chores. You live here, you look after yourself, like you clean up after yourself. Allowance is different. I keep them completely separate. I never mix the two. All kids deserve to get allowance from the age of 3. I have a whole system around that. How do you get the kids to pick up after themselves? Just keep asking. Oh no, I don't repeat myself. That's just part of their responsibility. If they like my kids were 3 and they had 3 basic things they had to do every day. Clean up their toys, but I had a toy rotation system going, so it was like 5 toys to put away. And I had spots for everything. I'm very minimal and organized. And they had to make their bed, pull up a duvet cover, that was it, and hang up their laundry. I did laundry every day too. So there was an empty hanger. It took under 2 minutes to do all that every single day. If they didn't, then there would be a consequence. Okay, no TV tonight. Like they just understood that you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. There was I wouldn't have told them. Like, yeah, then I would be, I don't know, I'd be a nag, really. Yeah, I just wouldn't. I'd say, I'll tell you what, yesterday you left the toys strewn around the living room. So there'll be a consequence. for that. And it was never a big deal. It's just something little. So you can help me unload the dishwasher tonight. Oh, sorry, mom. Okay. It was that easy. Like, so they just learn that if you don't do the right thing, there's a consequence. That's like, do the police tell you, remember not to speed, remember not to speed, remember drive the speed limit? No. If you speed, they just give you a ticket. It's like that idea. They're not always nagging you. How many toys? I put 95% of my kids' toys away. They never had a lot anyway. I'm not into that. But I put about 95% of them away, and I would maybe once a week or once a fortnight. In Australia, it's called 2 weeks is a fortnight, or maybe once a quarter even. But the big stuff was always out. It was all those other incidental things. And also I kind of ran my house like it's activity time. Okay, let's pull out all the Lego. Here's a blanket. Let's make it a whole village. And then they learned how to focus that way. So school was a piece of cake for them because it's activity times. They don't throw everything in the middle of the classroom and say, have at it. So there's activity times. Okay, all the Lego comes out. That can stay in the living room for a week. But when if you want to pull out the train set, then we have to put the Lego away. So the big stuff was sort of, I just managed it. And they just learned. They were never bored because, I don't know, they just weren't. But both of my kids, I figured they must have heard it when they were on a play date at someone else's house. They both did it once. They said to me, my son was the oldest, he said to me, I'm bored. And in that cheeky, snotty tone. And I'm like, where'd you get that one from? Like he never talked to me like that before. And he goes, I'm bored. And I said, oh, my precious angel, come with mommy. And he started to look scared right away because he thought, uh-oh, I shouldn't have done that. I took him in the laundry room, filled up a bucket, and gave him a mop. He was never bored again. 5 years later, my daughter said the exact same thing. She must have heard it at a friend's house. I'm bored. And my son started laughing. So yeah, they never said that again. What's your thoughts on telling toddlers no? It's not about the words. It just sort of indicates that that's not something to do. Like if they do something naughty, you say no, and then you put a toy away or it's about consistent corrective actions. It's not about words. They're not listening to you. They are not listening to you. They are not listening to you. They are watching you. It's about actions, consistent corrective actions, because they learn through repetitions. It's not about words, actions. I use 6 toys every week, different toys. Yeah, I didn't take the big stuff away. Like I never put away Lego or PlayStation or anything like a plushie that was comforting to them or the books. And they had to keep all that tidy. But I went in and did the extra. I'm not OCD evidently, but most people would say I am, but I'm not. But yeah, I would sort out all the books, color coded and everything. But I didn't expect them to do the extra crazy mother stuff. But yeah, they had to put all their books in a bookshelf and, everything just had to be put away. But it was like this. I'll tell you how that worked. If they'd say, can we watch TV, mommy? Sure. Have you done all your chores? Oh, okay. And they'd run around doing them. So that's how it worked. I used the as soon as method. I never really told them what to do. I waited till they wanted something. Oh, you want a treat or you want something, you want a snack? Okay. Have you done your chore? Have you put your toys away yet? Oh, no. Okay. And then it was no big deal because it was not a chaotic house. It was a very clean, organized, minimal house. So when I said clean up, it was took, like seconds probably. But they could keep out the Lego. Like I didn't expect them to put all the big stuff away every time. Like the Lego could stay out for weeks. So long as they played with it a little bit every day, it could stay out. But yeah, not the little stuff. Kept big ones out like Lego. Yeah, that's what I did. The PlayStation never went away. It was all, how they get, plus at Christmas time or birthday, what you do is you're right there like a hawk and you watch when they open something and they go like this, oh, thanks. And they put it aside, grab that and put it away. They'll forget all about it when they get the bigger stuff. And then like a couple months later, when they're starting to get bored with whatever they've got, then you can pull it out. It's like Christmas all over again. So yeah, my kids never got everything on Christmas Day. They got it maybe in February. They might have seen everything, maybe even later. So yeah. I was right there watching everything that they pulled out. Everything they opened, I was right there ready to pull the stuff that they would have forgotten about that. And then I'll tell you a cute story. Someone said, how do we teach our kids how to be giving? This I told on, I was doing breakfast TV or something. And so it was, and the very first time I was ever asked to do breakfast TV, I didn't know it was live. So I said, if I mess up or throw up or something, because I was nervous, I said, can we just retape it? And they said, no, it's live. 3, 2. I got no notice at all. Live, here we are. Anyway, I told this story. I said, they asked me, it was around Christmas time. And they said, how do you teach your children how to give? And I said, well, I'll tell you this story. My son was about 3 or 4 years old, and at the mall, they had this big tree that you pull off the name tags, the age of the kid and the sex of the kid, like boy or girl. I guess you're not allowed to say that anymore. Anyway, so they pulled off, and stupid me, I let him have a little boy his age. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Anyway, so we went and bought one of those little tractors, the big ride 'em tractors. It was a nice gift. So we went home, he already had one at home, by the way. So we went home, wrapped it all up, and then the whole time I'm talking to him about giving. There's some little boy who doesn't have one of these, and this is really nice of you. And he's going, I'm so giving. And I was like, oh, my precious angel. He's so giving and loving. And so we get to the tree, and I say, okay, go put it under the tree. And he goes towards it, and he goes, no, I'm going to keep it. And then it's like a tug of war getting it away from him. And I think some of the paper was ripped, finally got it under the tree. So there you go. Can you teach giving attitude? Probably not to a 3 or 4-year-old, but anyway. I was so proud up until that moment. It was a good story. I'm glad it happened because it was a good story. So I'm just reading through some of the I missed some questions, so I'm just going back a little bit. Yeah, that toy rotation system, I would say, is one of the best things you can do when you've got little kids, because children who have everything out in front of them tend to not be as good at focusing, and they're more likely to say they're bored. They're overstimulated. There's too much going on, and they don't play with anything at any given time. I used to go to friends' houses that had kids the same age, and there was crap everywhere, and their kids were always bored and bothering us. You go to my house, there were very few things out, but my kids just weren't bothering us because that was rotated. They hadn't seen that toy for a while, so they were excited by it. Like it's just such a good thing to do. Anyway. My son's been watching some of your videos and thinks the behavior board would really help. I've actually had parents say that it's not working, they can't make it work, they chuck it, and the kid goes and gets it out of the garbage and puts it back up. Kids usually like the behavior board, by the way. And why do the parents chuck it? Usually it's because one of the parents doesn't want to do the consequence. But because oftentimes I'm sort of in charge of what they should put on there, and they don't always want to do it. But and the kids go and pull it out again. It says, warning, permanent ban will ensue if live video does not end within 5 minutes. Never seen that before. And it's a notification. Now, is that from I think that's from some viewer. I don't think that's from TikTok. Because that's that trolling stuff, right? Okay. My 2-year-old keeps biting at daycare. That's usually up to the daycare people. You can't teach them anything at home that they're going to remember by the time they get to daycare. But if they're biting at home, you just have consistent corrective action. What usually happens, there's social pressure, social lessons there, and some other kid will bite or hit them back, and that's when they usually learn. Sorry about that, but that's usually how they learn when they're at school. Someone will fight back. That's what his dad said. I'm just nervous about my husband being on the board with it. Oh, okay. If he doesn't want to be on it, leave him off. You know what usually happens is it's usually a dad who doesn't want to be involved, because I'll tell you what, I understand men. I didn't understand men until I raised one. They're just different. They're fixers. Women are not. We want to talk everything out. We don't care about being fixers. We just want to talk out all of our feelings. We're just different, right? Men want to fix things. And it's just an instinctive thing. They're fixers. And if they sort of feel like they can't handle their family, and then I come in and tell them what to do, it's sort of emasculating to a lot of men. So they don't want to be on the board. Here's what happens. It happens more often than you would think, is if the mom is the one who's doing all this, I say, look, if he doesn't want to be a part of it, you can't put him on there if he's not going to go follow through with it. So what happens is the father sees the mother starting to be the leader. Sometimes it's the other way, but it's usually this way. And then he wants a piece of that. He wants to be the leader too. He realizes he's missing out with all that connecting, because the leader is the one that really connects with the kids too. You're the one who gets the closest to the kids. So I've actually been hired by the fathers in the background without the mother knowing it. because he wants to learn how to do it too. So, but yeah, but then I really encourage them to get together, laugh it off, and then get together on it. Um, yeah, this is, I know you say implement one rule on the behavior on the board each week. What should you do about all the other stuff? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Because you're only focused on your leadership skills with that one thing. That behavior board is big for everyone to see, proving that you're learning how to do this. And you're only learning with that one thing. That one thing. It's all you can handle in the first week. If I mean, I would do everything in one day because I'm level 10 with what I teach. So there's no way I would let anything go. But you're learning how to do this. If I gave you more than one per week, you would tank. I've paced it out. I've been doing this for 17 years. I've learned how to pace you out. Like that course, that Get Respect in 5 weeks, it is 5 weeks and it's very paced out for a very good reason. I've learned how to pace parents out. By about the third week, you'll start to feel different and the kids start to pick up on that energy. It's all about you. By the way, if he doesn't want to be on it, just say, okay, I respect that. Don't get into any arguments or don't put him down once, and don't brag about you being better. You don't want to, like, he's already, and I've just been doing this for so long. I know that men get very frustrated about this, especially when they see the wives getting better results and they get very frustrated. Just say, look, I just happen to have learned these skills. You can learn them too. Let's figure it out together. So bring him on board. Don't rub it in that he didn't want to be on it. That's really important. How do I stop my kids to stop being whiny, 4 and 5-year-old boys? That's a learned behavior. It means it must have worked in the past. It must get on your nerves or then you must give in to that. So just stop showing that it bothers you and don't give them anything that they whine for. Just say you talk nicely or you get nothing. So they're 4 and 5, they can understand that. What more can I do than stay calm and ignore when 2-year-old's having a tantrum? Nothing. What do you mean, what more can you do? You mean for yourself or for them? That being calm and showing them calmness, you're modeling calm behavior and you're ignoring them. That's for them. So you mean for you? I guess just have confidence that it'll work eventually. I don't know. I get asked this a lot. People say, well, how do I stay calm? And I say, well, that's like going to a diet center and then say, well, how do I not eat a pint of ice cream? Sometimes you just got to do it. You know what I mean? You just got to do it. Um, Your lives are so comforting and relaxing. I don't find myself comforting, but I find these lives very relaxing. This is my meditation. So I appreciate you saying that. I do find this very relaxing. If I'm having a bad day, I do a live. Sometimes I'll do 2. I've even done 3 in one day if I'm having a really bad day and I've got time. But thanks so much for that. And also I want to say parenting or life isn't about being perfect. Life's messy. We're just trying to do a pretty good job. And your kids are always going to be able to say, well, you made this mistake and that mistake. You just want to minimize them because you don't want to look like you're perfect anyway. I would find a perfect person really boring. It's the imperfections that bond us, actually. And yeah, if you do mess up and make a mistake, just say, I'm really sorry. It was all my fault. What can I do to make it up to you? Make amends and then stop doing it. Stop making the same mistake over and over again. So yeah, if you do yell or whatever, just say, what can I do to make it up to you? Or use the behavior board. It's all along the same lines. Like I never used a behavior board. I would just say if I did something wrong, usually it was impatient. Wasn't a yeller, but if I was impatient, come on, we got to get going, hurry up. And I was rushing them through something because I had to get going. And then they would look at each other and smile. Do you know why? Because they knew all they had to do after everything calmed down is say, don't you think you were a little bit rough on us? Okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. What do you want? And they say, we'd really like to go to the water slide park this afternoon. They knew I was very good at making amends. So yeah, it's not about not making mistakes. It's about knowing how to handle them too. That's my struggle too, staying calm. Sometimes I think I'm weak-minded. We all do. I'm weak-minded with a whole bunch of stuff. Parenting came easy to me, but a lot of stuff doesn't. So yeah, we're all strong and weak in different ways. Maybe you're just really easygoing. That's another way of looking at it. Now I stay calm and ignore, but in similar situations, she will have tantrum again. Will that stop? It stops eventually. I think my son's last tantrum, he was about 3.5. And they were getting fewer and fewer and fewer, and they were lessening in intensity, frequency, and duration because I was ignoring them. Um, yeah, they just peter out. Hmm. Do you think irrational behavior is taught or that some kids are just very irrational? That's an interesting word, irrational. I don't know. I don't know quite what context we could, like, how would we frame that as irrational? Unable to be reasoned with? Um, I think that goes along with temper. Temper, I think, is sort of the same thing. If you have a temper, you tend to be irrational. It goes hand in hand, right? You're irrational. I mean, how can you have a temper tantrum, like as an adult, even if you're irrational? So I think they're the same thing. So I think they're born with it. I really do. That's a basic nature. Some people are born just easier going, they go with the flow. Others don't. So I think it's the same as a temper. I think you're born with it. You say, I try to calm him down and he yells and screams at me. Well, that's why, because see what I mean? And he yells and screams at me. What are you doing? How are you trying to calm him down? You don't calm other people down. How would you feel if you were upset about something and someone came up to you? Calm down. It's very patronizing. So is that what you're doing? You're trying to force that? Yeah, that's why he's getting worse. Oh, and then well, there you go. Then I get annoyed because he's 9. Why are you getting involved in that? If you want my help, you can hire me because you're getting involved in stuff that's really not, you shouldn't be. Do you use the ignoring tantrum and staying calm for child that's not yet verbal communication? Absolutely. Attention is attention. Um, yeah, just because they're not sending stuff out there, they're still pulling stuff in, but it's more with their eyes, not their ears. They're not listening to you as much as they're watching you. It's the body language. It's just everything. It's everything. I can't, especially when they're really young. It is just everything. I have, oh God, no, it's a long story. I won't go into it. But I've just got so many examples. I've been doing this for so many years now, like 51 years I started working with kids. I was volunteering in daycare centers and I just figured them out. I just got it. Because obviously, what 11-year-old is going to go into a daycare center and volunteer? That was back in the day when they didn't regulate everything. It was just a home daycare center. No, I think it was attached to a school. I can't, because I've been in so many, I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, they just let me volunteer my time after school in there, and I just figured kids out. And but yeah, one of the first things I did was ignore scenes or bad behavior. I just let it go, and then I would focus on the good. Focus on the good. Ignore the bad. When you first introduce the board, do you feel like you're giving out consequences all the time? Oh, that's a really good one for a video. When you first start the board, and I'll tell you what my answer is. Do you feel like you're disciplining? If you look at the board and you see your consequence, that's the answer right there. That board is also, your consequence is bonding with them. So if you yell at them, you have to play hide and seek with them for a half hour or something. You see, so there's the bonding. You're not disciplining. Most of this is about bonding with your kids and connecting with them in their world. You don't take them to the park and watch them swing. You play with them, interact with them in their world. That's your punishment when you yell. It's interacting with them in their world. They're in charge of your consequence. So you say, okay, I get to play whatever you want for 30 minutes. I said to one mom, she says, oh no. And I said, what? And she goes, I know exactly what that's going to be. And I said, what? And she said, leapfrog. And I said, you mean leapfrog? And she goes, yeah, kids love it. And she's never done it. And they're always asking her to do it. That was her consequence. She had to play leapfrog with the kids. So it's not just about discipline. It's about bond. It's more about bonding with the kids than disciplining them. That's why the kids pull it out of the garbage. If the parents throw it away, that's why the kids pull it out. Love that stance with connecting with them. Connecting with them in their world, not in your world, in their world. Like I used to every laundry day, which was every single day, I would put all the underpants on my head with the legs as the eye holes, and I'd say, panty monster's getting ready, run. And the kids would run squealing, and the panty monster would chase them around the house. You just have fun with them. Be fun. The more fun you are, the more they look up to you. And the more they want to please you, because they love that. My kids love fun mom. I was fun mom. So they love that. And if they'd ever misbehaved, those underpants would have come right off my head. Like I'd go, are you kidding me with this? Like, like it's you want to bond, you want to be fun in their world. I got 20 push-ups. Now my arms are sore. They loved it. Yeah, good, good. That's good because they get to laugh at you, so that's good too. But it's even better if you can do something in there, like with them in their world, like hide and seek or something. But that's a good one too, especially with older kids. And they love that if you can't talk for 20 minutes, or pardon me, for 24 hours or something like that with older kids. And usually you have to put tape on your mouth to remind you, but you can write. You can't type though, you can write. So whenever you want to say something, and they'll just have a riot trying to get you to talk. So just stuff like that where they get to laugh at you, with you, but at you. Okay. What time is it? Oh, I've been on here for a while. I got to get going. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. If you want to know more about this calm leadership stuff, you can do my course, hire me for coaching, or download my free behavior board. It's on the link above. That's a new link I just did a few days ago, and it just makes it easier for you to see everything in one spot. So anyway, thanks so much, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye now.